Welcome back. It's Krista Living Sober, and we're here for my next episode. Enjoy. How have you been?
We have been wonderful. It's just been kind of crazy because, as you know, we're going through a big transition right now. So every day is an adventure. I know you're doing the same thing. Every day is a new adventure, right?
It is. It's challenging, but it's worth it. You just celebrated 1 year sober, and I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. That's a huge accomplishment. I remember when I got my first year sober, I felt like I could do anything.
Yeah, it is such an amazing feeling. Like, you know, you're going along step by step, day by day, and you're getting more and more confident in yourself and all that. But I still didn't believe that I'd make it a year, and then to say, oh, I'm at a year milestone. This is just incredible. It's just, you feel so on top of the world, like you've really accomplished something, and you have.
Good, yeah. It's huge. And I bet you feel happier and stronger and healthier. Can you feel the changes?
Yes, definitely. And just in all kinds of ways. And it's just also, all of this has happened, my faith has grown, doors have opened, things that I couldn't have dreamed. They always say you have to have a dream to have a dream come true. Well, dreams are coming true that I never dreamed because I couldn't have dreamed that big, so it's been a wonderful. Highly recommend.
I love that. I just read the Just for Today, and the topic is dreams never die. So I love that. It's perfect. Yeah.
There you go.
Do not die after addiction, after stopping whatever it is you need to stop.
Yeah. And when I look back to where I was just a little over a year ago and where I am now, it's incredible. I was just in such an ugly, dark, lost, stuck, miserable space, and every day was the same because I was just drinking every day. So it just perpetuated it. So, and then once you get out of that and start feeling that freedom, that hope and, I'm going to say pride, healthy pride in yourself, then it's like everything opens up.
Yeah, I agree. It is challenging at first. Do you think you discovered who you truly are as a person in your sobriety?
Absolutely. And that's when I got my sunflower tattoo, which was for my 4-month alcohol-free. At that time, it really hit me that I don't know if it was the first time, but it was the first time I was really viscerally aware that I'm me and that's enough. And I'm really excited to be me, So yeah, that really was the first time that I guess I would say I felt comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah. Because before, were you drinking to kind of escape yourself?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was to numb feelings, numb emotional pain, to escape, not face up to the things that were facing me, and the fact that I was perpetuating my own misery. Now, that was a shocker. That realization didn't come till closer to almost a year alcohol-free, that I realized, oh, I was so busy blaming all these other people, and 99.9% of it was right here in me. It was my thoughts, my disturbed thought patterns, and the way I would just keep running them over and over and over in my head and not letting them go, just kind of wallowing in them.
It's so easy to do that when we're drinking, when we're just constantly miserable too, and you get stuck in that pattern of negativity. It's just so hard. I remember doing that too, and I didn't realize I was doing it either. But I was just so mad that I was projecting. I was blaming everybody else and making up excuses and not really taking the credit for being the one that needed to change.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's very, very eye-opening and humbling.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. But, I think you have to give up the alcohol, let the alcohol go before you can ever get to that point.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's like, oh my gosh, I just,
I
yeah. So
agree.
and what I really want to talk about
Yeah.
today is the next right step. That's
Mhm.
something that's kind of my mantra now.
Yeah.
Is yeah, once you're right with yourself and you're right with your higher power, and those doors start opening up, those next right steps just start presenting themselves. And all you
Right.
have to do is walk through that door that just opened.
Mhm.
And that sounds so simplistic, but I found it to be so true.
Yeah.
It's almost magical, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree.
I don't know how you explain it really. I guess it's spiritual awakening or,
Yeah.
whatever terms but it really is, my heart's been changed, my mind's been changed.
Isn't the saying that if one door closes, another door opens?
Mm-hmm.
That is so
Or what?
true, though. And
It
you
is.
start seeing that in recovery when you're
Mm-hmm.
alcohol free and drug free, and it is magical. And I think it's more spiritual, maybe, than magical, if whatever you believe in. But I for sure believe my higher power has something to do with keeping me sober, and then opening all these new doors and shutting doors when needed, when
That's
when he
true.
doesn't want things to work out for the best.
And that's something, and our pastor did a really great sermon series on that about the myths around forgiveness. And one of the big ones is forgive and forget. And Pastor Lisa says, no, forgive and release. And
Mm-hmm.
that was something that really helped me. And she had us do the exercise of sitting there and clenching our fist, all those things that we're holding on to, and all the stresses and all the insecurities. And, we're just not letting them go because they're ours and we're going to hold on to them. Well, when you forgive and release,
Mm-hmm.
you're just letting that stuff go. It's no longer, you're not dragging it around with you anymore. You're not hanging on to it. And that was revolutionary for me
Oh
is
yeah. It's
to get to
definitely
that.
a lot of weight just lifted off of you. You feel definitely free, and it's an amazing feeling. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad that you get to experience that. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
That's why I want to share it because I want other
Mhm.
people, because I know early on, I never would have believed any of this stuff. I wouldn't have
Right.
understood it. I wouldn't have accepted it. And so I want people to know that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. Just keep taking that next right step. In the beginning, just take a step, whatever that step
Mhm.
is for you. Take that step.
Exactly. And you have
And then,
to take the first step, admit that you have a problem, and then you have to work on it each and every day, one
yeah,
day at a time. How does the new sober identity affect your lifestyle?
it affects my lifestyle because I'm no longer hiding or
Mhm.
protecting or guarding or pretending. I'm no longer an imposter. I'm just
Right.
me. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not
Mhm.
concerned about what other people think. I mean,
Right.
obviously I want to be considerate, but I'm not hiding myself anymore. And I really realized that going to early childhood was something that somewhere along the line I got the message that I was too much. And so I started not being me. And I
Mhm.
started being watchful and learning how to portray what
Mhm.
I thought other people wanted to see in me
Yeah.
instead of just being.
Being you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of a crying shame that, that had to happen. I had to wait till that happened till I was 68. But, when it happens, it happens.
Right. It was
Yeah.
your time to change.
Yeah.
And it was when you needed to.
Yeah.
I remember acting like somebody I wasn't in my active addiction when I was drunk. I think that had to do with me wanting to fit in and be seen and be heard. But that wasn't the real me. It's just amazing how you can look back and see how different you were. How
Mhm.
completely different you are. Like, it's a whole 180. We become different people. in sobriety.
We really do. And that's, again, I have no words for that, but it's so liberating.
It
It really
is.
is.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. And I just want that for everybody. So,
Yeah, right.
constantly supporting and encouraging. And, whether you have one day or 1 minute
Right.
that you've made that decision and you're taking that next step, go for it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. It's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Exactly. Now that you have hit the 1 year, what recovery plan do you have in place to stay sober? I know we kind of touched upon that when you came on last time, but are you still doing the same thing?
Right now we're in a real interesting transition period. My husband had wanted to move to Costa Rica ever since we visited 15 years ago, and he's brought it up through the years, and I've always been like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not leaving the country.
Yeah.
So this time when he brought it up, he had done some homework and all of that, and I guess with everything that's happened to me, I was open, and I was like, okay, let's sit down and take a look at that. And so that was in March. And since then, we sold our house. We sold virtually everything. We're staying with our cousin right now. We're negotiating on a house in Costa Rica. We're trying to get all of our medical situations attended to before we move. And so it's just been go, go, go.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about doors opening. They've just been flying open.
Huge.
It's really
Mhm.
huge. And so
Do you
we're
think
just,
that would have happened if you were drinking?
no,
No.
I can tell you 100% no.
Right.
Because I was stuck in my own little misery box, and that's where I was
Mhm.
going to stay at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I had to be open. I had to be open to look at things from a different perspective and be willing to consider different ideas. So anyway, honestly, as far as a recovery plan or what I'm doing, that's just on the back burner. But I will tell you this, alcohol's just not even on my radar screen at all. I just don't think about it. It's not part, it's just small and irrelevant. It has nothing to do with me. Now, at some point, yeah, but at this point in my life, no, it's just attending to that next right step. Back in the fall, and I think we talked about this before, I was really, as I started healing, I was really feeling a strong calling to do something, but not really have any idea what it was. And so I just prayed a lot,
Yeah.
that God would reveal his will. And I started to understand that this was kind of a pause, that this was a time of preparation, and just readying myself for whatever it was that was coming next, which was real foreign to me. I've always been kind of a plan your work and work your plan kind of person. So to not have a plan and just basically sitting around waiting, okay, all right, what's next? And boy, when that what's next came, it was like, bam, here's your vision, here's the way you're headed. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no clue, which is kind of scary, but exciting. There's a better word, but just all at the same time. And I just feel totally confident in my faith that as long as I stay open to the next step that presents itself and taking that next step, that the next right step will present itself. So faith, I guess. I've just really,
Yeah.
really grown in faith. Yeah.
And that's amazing. And all of the growth that happens in those moments of waiting and preparation. God really truly does prepare us for more amazing things in our life. And it's really beautiful that when you give up what's negative and what doesn't serve you any longer, to see the amazing things that life can bring to you, that God can give you in your life.
That's so true, Krista.
Yeah. Like a new place to live, a new baby, like it's like these things, they just keep coming,
Yeah, and when you were in active addiction, you could have never dreamed that, right? I
Oh,
mean, yeah,
could
yeah.
not.
And so, when these things start manifesting, they're just way beyond anything that I could dream. And that's, again, points to a higher power. I mean, this isn't coming from me. This is something bigger.
I agree. Couldn't have done it without my higher power, that's for sure. Has relapse ever crossed your mind? And what did you do to combat those thoughts?
Yes, it did cross my mind, and that's when I first started counseling. And not that I was having a desire to drink or anything, but I was feeling so much healthier and happier. And I did not, under any circumstances, want to go back to where I had been. And so, when I brought this up to my counselor, and she goes, "Well, what's your relapse plan?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Plan?" She says, "Yeah, you need to have a plan." So at that time, and this was back in the fall, she suggested that I just kind of write a list of things that I was grateful for and match them, because she's a Christian counselor, match them with scripture that's, supports that particular gratitude, and then cut them up and put them in a box and put them where, when that time came, that I could go and pull one of those out, or as many as I needed. And so and I did that. And I've not gotten into the box. The box is going with me, though. It's going with me to Costa Rica.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it just kind of gives me comfort that it's there.
Right.
Because, there's ups and there's downs. And there's valleys, and so low times will come. I know that. You have something in place to that is a comfort.
That helped you combat the stinking thinking, the negative thoughts that would come up. And that helps.
Just the knowledge that I had something in place, that instead of just swirling in that toilet bowl of, stinking thinking, I could take an action step and go and pull out gratitude that had a scripture with it and kind of recenter myself. And I guess that's my plan for right now, and just we'll see what evolves from there.
Well, as long as you have something in place, to help get you out of whatever thoughts come up, that's a good thing. For me, I think the therapy that I've been through, working on my negative thought patterns, has helped tremendously as well. This past weekend, I went to a surprise birthday party for someone, and it was the first time I was triggered, really, in the almost 4 years I've been sober. And I noticed how strong that I really wasn't. I'm not invincible in my recovery. This recovery, I have to work on it every day. For the first time, I was like, wow, I saw shots. There's people were smoking marijuana. It was kind of scary because I haven't experienced that. So it's good to have something in place.
Well, and thank you for sharing that. I think that's important for me and all of us to hear that, because a year in, I'm still relatively new, but, I kind of feel invincible in a way, because I feel so strong right now. So and I see different posts about people sharing that a year, 4 years, 7 years, things pop up. So it's something I don't think you can ever just dismiss.
Yeah, I feel like we're always recovering. We're always working at bettering ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, and everybody can work on improving themselves every day. So. And that's one thing, you mentioned marijuana, and I'll use the Kathleen Turner line from Romancing the Stone. I went to college in the 70s too. So pot's been a big part of my life. And, since I was a teenager till my 1-year anniversary, alcohol free. And leading up to that, I realized that the cognitive dissonance, that you're a phony, you're not really clean, you're not, because in my mind, sober meant abstaining from alcohol. So I didn't feel that cognitive dissonance in the beginning. And I think that was, alcohol was the biggie. I had to handle that first.
Of course.
But then as I came up on my 1-year anniversary, it's like, I'm still using this mind altering substance. And when I do, I'm not present. I'm not enjoying the benefits of being, substance free. And so that's my next right step. I just really felt like that was the thing. And so, and I guess approached it like I did when I broke up with alcohol. I just decided, okay, it's time. And so far, I mean, that was May 24th. It hasn't been long, but we're also doing all these other things. So I'm
Right.
completely out of my normal routine. But I think that's a really good thing. I'm really proud of myself that I'm now completely substance free, no longer relying on any mind altering substances.
That's
And
awesome.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to share that too.
It's such a different world where people do become sober, and some people do smoke marijuana, and that's their own way to recover and however they do it. But I do agree that smoking marijuana is a mind altering substance and just not for us. And we just want to be fully there because I know how weed affects me, and it did affect my
And what a
mind.
beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift to yourself and to
Yeah.
Amelia, to your husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being aware, just being in the moment, just being present daily, and that's what really matters. So how do the people in your life feel about your recovery and your sober journey?
Oh, they've been so proud of me. We've got 4 adult children, and for the my first sober anniversary, they sent me this beautiful treasure trove of gifts. Yeah, and very encouraging. And other people, like my best friend, she has quit drinking. My husband quit drinking, and it's not anything that I've said or asked. It's just something, it's just a byproduct, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that are other people, perhaps, that are sitting back there watching us, you and me and others, in a sober space and realizing, oh, they seem to have something that I like to have, you know? Or they seem to have let go of something that maybe I should let go of.
Your story is so inspiring, and I'm just so happy that you get to share your recovery journey every day with people, and I'm glad that I came upon your Instagram and found you, and I love having you on to share your inspiring strength and hope. Yeah, I'm so proud of you. Like, that is such a huge accomplishment, and many more years to come, right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything else that you'd like to add for the listeners and the viewers?
I think what I like to add is, and I won't say stereotype, but I have, at first I kind of got offended when I would have followers that would address me as grandma and all that. Of course, my handle is the Sober Grandma Road, but my grandson's 7 years old, so I'm thinking I'm a grandma. But then I thought, well, I could be their grandma, I'm old enough to be their grandma, and that's a good. So my point is to not think, to just be aware, to not think that your 68-year-old church-going grandma could have a problem with alcohol,
Right.
or marijuana for that matter. To be open and receptive and non-judgmental, judgment-free, and to be there for people, to be able to walk their journey and to know that you'll be there to support them.
Yeah. And supporting others really helps when they're struggling, when they're going through something that, you don't really know about. And this can go for anybody dealing with something hard and negative that people don't really truly understand. Just support people and love one another and don't cast judgment, because no one's perfect themselves. It's so important in the world, in society.
Well, that's, you're saying that, Krista, there was a post yesterday that I kind of got involved in the comments a little bit. And normally I don't do that a whole lot other than just, encouragement and support. But this has to do with, should alcohol have a label like cigarette? And so a lot of the conversation was about drinking responsibly and, people drink responsibly, blah, blah, blah. And I just basically chimed in and said, I think that approach is all just misdirection to blind us of the fact that alcohol is a toxic, addictive substance. It absolutely should have labels.
It should.
Like cigarettes. Because to say to drink responsibly, that's putting shame and blame on the individual.
Right.
I drink responsibly. Why don't you?
Right. And who drinks responsibly? I mean, I know there's a few people that do, and it never affected them. I was like jealous of those people because something always went wrong when I drink, right? But it drives me insane that alcohol is widely accepted in our culture, in our society, across the world, and it's the number one drug that kills people from drunk driving, kills people from alcohol poisoning. It's truly a gateway drug to everything else, because you go to a party and there's alcohol, you're going to get drunk, and then people are doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really sad the way it is in our society, and I wish it was different. I feel like it might be changing a little bit, but it needs to change.
No. And I agree 100%. And I think that's where it's so important that we raise our voices and we speak our truths.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, step by step. Because you're young enough, you don't remember everybody smoked when I was growing up. It was like alcohol. All my parents' friends, my parents smoked and all their friends. I mean, that's just what you did. Mm-hmm. And then look at how that changed.
Right.
And so I firmly believe that's going to happen with alcohol. But it's important for us in the alcohol-free space to be loud and proud, to recover out loud.
I agree. Yeah. And hopefully it changes the world one step at one little video at a time, right?
That's right. Well, and thank you for what you're doing. It's so important.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like I said, my recovery is not perfect, Being a sober mom, it's so new, but it's rewarding, and I'm so happy to be sober doing it. And I'm happy that I got back into therapy to talk to someone. I'm happy I got back on medication, because there are things that you're going to learn in your sober journey that you might need some medication. You might need that extra help. And it's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no recovery journey is going to be perfect. But it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And take that first step if you're out there listening, wondering if you should. Just take it.
Yes, one step at a time. And if you need help, reach out to either one of us. I'll post all of our links on YouTube. And then... Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on my show again, Lynn. It's always a pleasure having you. Congrats on the year, and keep going.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.